Hello everyone, this is AJ and welcome back to the channel. AJ's Movie Place. Got another review for you today. Is it a retro review? I don't know. It's a film from 2015. You know what it is already because you see the film now. It's Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Yeah, so I picked this up a few days ago. It cost me a couple of quid. Yeah, I'll be honest, I know nothing about the film, or I knew nothing about it because obviously I watched it now. But I knew nothing about the film. I went into it completely blind. Yeah, so let's talk about it. Okay, so Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I believe in other territories it might have just been called Scouts vs Zombies. Pretty bad title that is, but Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, that does sound a bit better. So anyway, so this film, it came out in 2015 here in the UK on November the 6th of 2015. It's 1 hour 33 minutes long and it's rated 15. The film is directed by Christopher London, who has been involved. He's got quite a decent pedigree. He's been involved behind the scenes on a lot of films. A couple of Paranormal Activities, Freaky, Happy Death Day to You, the second one. He's written screenplays. He's directed. He's done all this sort of stuff. So that sort of surprised me. Obviously, a lot of them films came after this film. So it's one of his earlier films. The film was given a budget of $15 million. Now, the film does star Ty Sheridan as Ben Growdy, who you will know because he was the main star of Ready Player One. He was in The Night Clerk. He was the main star of that. He's appeared in the newer X-Men films as Scott Summers, Cyclops. Logan Miller stars as Carter Grant, who you may or may not have recently seen in the 2 Escape Room movies. Another geezer called Joey Morgan as Oggy Foster, who won't have done anything that you will know. Sarah Dumont plays Denise Russo. I know she appeared in the film Don John, and she's appeared in other stuff, but she ain't done too much. And David Koechner, he plays Scout Leader Rogers. Now, David Koechner is quite one of the familiar faces from comedy. You would have seen him. He had a recurring role in The Office. He's been in the Anchorman films, this sort of thing. Yeah. So, I'll talk about the story, and I'll come back to my thoughts on the film and whether it's any good and whether I'd recommend it. Okay, so this film sees these 3 friends. They're all scouts, and obviously they've got their scout leader. Now what it is that Joey Morgan's character Oggy, the bigger boned child or kid of they're kids, they're in high school sort of thing, or go into high school. The bigger kid in out of the group, he lost his father some time ago, so the other 2 sort of joined the scouts with him just to sort of support him and this sort of thing. They go out on this survival night. And yeah, stuff happens. The film opens, the very beginning of the film opens with this scene in like it looks like a corridor in a hospital at first, or a school, but they're doing experiments in there. They've got monkeys, and there's a janitor who's cleaning, and he's left in a room with a geezer on a table who turns out to be, for some unknown reason, some sort of a zombie, attacks him, bites him. The zombie outbreak, it unleashes like that. There's zombie animals and this sort of thing. Anyway, so you got these 3 scouts, and they get embroiled into this survival mode with this girl played by Sarah Dumont, who works in a strip club. She's quite wise. She's clued up. She's street savvy. This sort of thing, and they have to utilise their what they've learned as scouts to survive this zombie apocalypse. That's pretty much the breakdown of the film. Obviously, as the story progresses, the Oggy, the kid whose father he lost his father, he comes to learn that the other 2, for a series of events, are just sort of in the scouts to appease him, this sort of thing, and do you know what I mean? And they want to leave and all this sort of stuff. So I was I didn't know what to expect going into it. But the film does have swearing, it has nudity, it has plenty of gore and violence in that sense, in a sort of zombie sense. Yeah, so, you know, I didn't expect that. I was a bit sort of not taken aback. I was surprised with the level of gore and violence that this actually had in it. Like I said, it's only rated 15 and you can get away with it. But, yeah, the film's obviously a comedy, sort of an action comedy type thing. And, yeah, so my thoughts on the film. Okay, I thought the cast were all fine. They were all enjoyable to watch. There wasn't anyone who stood out as bad or poor or anything like that. Like I said, it's only a 93-minute film. It does drag in places. It kind of... There's times when I'm wondering whether it didn't have an identity, whether it wasn't sure on whether it wanted to be a comedy or a full-out horror, and it kind of struggled flitting between one to the other as opposed to this nice meld of both. There are some scenes where it melds nicely, but others where it's like, okay, now it's like in full zombie horror territory, but now you're in full comedy mode. The film's obviously been made on the back of stuff like Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead, and it's trying to be that sort of a film, and it isn't as good as those. You know, I had a decent time with the film. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I can't, you know, like I said, there were a few areas. I thought some of the editing was pretty poor in the film. There's scenes just don't make sense. Like, you know, there's this dead deer on the road, and you know, 1 second they turn around and the deer's gone because there are zombie animals within the film, and there's no trace of blood or anything on the ground, even though the deer's like torn right open. There's a scene prior to that when they hit the deer with a car, and there's like no damage to the front of the car, it's a minuscule dent. There's a scene where one of the characters uses a knife and he wipes it down with a rag, and next thing it's sparkling clean, no trace of anything on it. And you got a similar sort of scene where a character's got blood all over his face and he goes to wipe it off, and then all of a sudden he just looks like he's had a shower. You know, and there's nothing on him whatsoever on his face. He's just managed to get this all off, and he looks perfectly clean. Yeah, so there's things like that which are like, you know, yeah, it was an enjoyable film. I'd recommend it as a watch. I think when the film came out, it was badly marketed. I don't think they got a feel for what the actual film, you know, they got it out there for what the film was, and I think it's gone off of many people's radar. But for 93 minutes and for a couple of quid, it was an enjoyable film. It's, you know, it's got the humour, it's got the violence. Like I said, at 93 minutes, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Although a couple of scenes, you know, I start thinking, okay, so it was good that it only stayed to that 93 minutes. So yeah, you know, it's worth a watch. I'd recommend it. You know, I don't go expecting anything as good as Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, if you like those films. But it's a lot better than some stuff that I have seen. It was an amusing. It was an amusing 93 minutes. Now, there are some scenes in the film that do remind me of The Lost Boys. In the final act of the film, your three primary cast members, they end up in a hardware store and they sort of MacGyver together some weaponry using the stuff in here. And the way they're kitted out, it kind of reminded me of the Frog Brothers in The Lost Boys. And you know, I could imagine them going up against the zombies instead of the vampires that they do in that. The film's humour, there is sort of some gross out humour, sexual innuendo and all this sort of stuff in the film, which was fine. The sort of stuff you might see in an American Pie film. Sort of stuff that if American Pie was doing a zombie film, you'd have this in that, you know. So there was stuff like that. And yeah, it will stick with you, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, so that was my review. Tell me if you've seen this film. Let me know in the comments down below. Tell me what you thought of the film, or has it gone off of your radar? Also, why not share the video and hit the subscribe button while you're at it. The subscribe button is just down below. That's just a symbol up there. It's down below. Press the button, and also hit that notification bell so you can keep apprised of all my upcoming content. And why not go back and have a look at some of my historic stuff? Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting going. This is AJ. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all. Goodbye.